So this video is in response to one I watched by Terafanatic, and in that he was asking, what knife started it all for you. Well, this is my sorry knife story. It all started back when I was about 15 years old. I came across this book, which I'm sure many of you will be familiar with, the SAS Survival Handbook by Lofty Wiseman. And it's funny, one of the things I still remember from this book is that you're only as sharp as your knife. So pretty much from there, that led to me, at the age of 15, travelling to London there was a shop called Survival Aids. It doesn't exist anymore. And I picked myself up this knife. A Simmons, sharp pointy knife with locking back, 440 stainless steel. And yeah, it's as blunt as, well, a very blunt thing. But this is where it all started. So, 15 years old. And then for some weird reason, I took a massive time off. I wasted so much knife collecting time, because it wasn't until 2010 when my friend lent me another book which you might be familiar with. And if you're not, I really recommend you read it. It's a very good read. It's Emergency by Neil Strauss. And the bit that really got me into trouble was, let's have a look, I underlined it. Right, so, after scouring the internet for a knife tutor, only to find cooking classes, I'd visited a store called Valley Martial Arts Supply. The owner, Raphael, had recommended getting in touch with a man in Arizona famous for making the toughest, most effective combat and survival knives in the country. The man was known as Mad Dog. Well, what can I say? As someone who's always had massive respect for anybody involved in the forces, then I've always had a fascination with military spec stuff and anybody making stuff for the military. And hence, I ended up dropping a significant chunk of change, but I don't regret it at all. It's my Voodoo Hound, Mad Dog Voodoo Hound, number 7, and with very visible tang line, 3/16 steel. Let's see if there's on the label. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I absolutely love this knife. This is my number one knife. This is the one that really started it for me. And I did kind of make a mistake, because it's not a user. This is a fighting knife, and I have no interest in going out and fighting people with knives. So I guess I'd been better off getting the attack knife. That would have been more of a user. I've heard that obviously battoning on a sharp edge is not a good, that your baton will get stuck. So not much woodcrafting going on with this knife. It's purely a fighting knife, and hopefully I'll never ever use it. But it doesn't stop me drooling over it every now and then. So I should put that one back. And what else have we got? So after that, yeah, basically it was just a steady stream. I had a bit of a fixed knife thing going on at that time, and again, that whole functionality of, even though my life never got more dangerous than walking down the back streets of Nottingham late on a Friday night from a Tai Chi class, the fantasy would be in my head. So I wanted to be prepared, and I came across this by CR Columbia River Knife and Tool, the Hisatsu. It's funny, at the time I was absolutely enamoured with this blade. The idea that it got this kind of ridge on the on one side, so when it was dark you could tell which was the sharp edge. You could orientate where you were with the knife by this thing here, and that was just, I thought it was really cool. And it's really weird, because I'm not a fan of this blade anymore. I find it ugly. So I guess it just shows how tastes change. And carrying on the fixed knife theme, I love this knife. The just Gerber, I think it's Freeman, I don't know, but I love the wooden handles. I love the stonewash finish, and just a lovely, lovely knife. Plenty of jimping, and the wood gives a nice feel. And moving on to the next. So then I started kind of, I don't know, getting more into combat knives again. And this is my Treeman knives, and yeah, Recon Hunter in 01 tool steel. Again, you know, orange G10 scales. Very, very nice knife. You know, Treeman knives, I can't remember the maker's name, but you know, again, I guess I was more interested with the knife maker's origins and who he was making knives for than the knives themselves, if that makes sense. I guess if someone's making knife for special forces, for armed forces, for people on the front line, then those knives are certainly going to be good enough for anything I might need them for. So, love this knife. And then wanted something a little more heavy duty. So my lovely, this is so cool. Slide that little catch up, and it really locks, you know, the knife into the splint. Sorry, into the sheath. Push it down, knife comes out nice and easy. This is my SE5 in Venom Green Blaze Orange handles. Real heavy duty. Love getting out in the woods and beating wood up with that. Let's put that in there. And even had a brief dalliance with throwing knives. My Gil Hibben knives. There should be 3. Don't know whether one of them ended up missing in action. So after the fixed knife phase, went through a folding phase, and starting with my super trusty, lives in my bug out bag, my Spyderco Tenacious. Absolutely fantastic knife. I've, you know, nothing bad to say about this knife whatsoever. Delightful. So that's that one. Then let's see if we can do this. My Rat 1 folder. Again, I mean, this is a cheap knife. I don't know what it was. I think it cost me 25-30 quid. Made in Taiwan, Oz 8 steel, but it's rabid. You know, it comes out super fast, and locks up nice and tight, and cuts like a mofo. Really, you know, fantastic, great value for money knife, that one. Then I went on, I loved this one. Can't remember who makes it, but the thing that I really love about it is it's got a ceramic blade. And I don't know, just that whole notion of, you know, having a blade that's not made out of steel, but is still very sharp, and it is very sharp and holds an edge well. Yeah, ceramic bladed knife, couldn't resist it. Plus I loved, you know, the scales, that kind of leaf camouflage. Absolutely love that knife. Then I treated myself, I'd wanted one of these for a long time, an Almar Sear, and you know, in VG10 steel, good corrosion resistance, one of Nut and Fancy's favourite steels apparently, and it is a gorgeous knife. The fit and finish on this thing is just high quality. Especially, I think it cost me 230 quid, and it feels like a much more expensive knife. Love that one to bits. And treated myself to my first kind of flipper, the SOG Twitch 2, which unfortunately doesn't flip anymore. But I had great fun with that. And yeah, getting close to the end of my knife collection. It's just, you know, I bought this one. It's a Swiss Army knife, pimped out with wood, and I just, you know, 20 quid, couldn't resist it. Absolutely beautiful little knife. Then we have Michael never certain how to pronounce his surname. I have no idea if you can see that. Vagnino? Vagnino? Yeah. Anyway, this guy makes awesome knives. Again, you know, I got this second hand. I'd wanted one when they first came out, the Zip Slip, first one, and I couldn't afford it at the time, but I managed to pick one up second hand. And it's great for the UK market because the blade's, I think it's just under 3 inches, which means it's legal carry, obviously within reason. And again, the fit and finish on this knife is of something that's of much higher price point. And I just love how, you know, usually when you open a knife like this, the back opens up, but this, you know, Michael collaborated with some other guy, and they came up with some really nifty mechanism inside, so that, you know, that beautiful line doesn't, you know, the back doesn't lift up when you go to close the knife. That's one of my precious knives. I can't ever see myself parting with that one. And then my Mike Snowdy Boss 2.0. This knife was well worth the wait. I'd say out of all the knives I've got, this one cuts. You know, it cuts. As soon as you put it on paper or anything, you just, you know, the confidence you get from cutting with this thing is it's just like nothing else. I think it's, I should remember, 154 steel. I don't know, it's beautiful knife. It loves to cut. This thing lives to cut, which is why I really do need to get around to getting some kind of sheath for it, because living without that blade being covered up isn't good for health and vitality, certainly not for longevity. This was a knife, fixed blade, just a little one that I picked up from a Lithuanian maker, and fits in the sheath very snugly. The TR12-5. Again, I think it was only about 50 quid. Handmade, just really super knife. In Sandvik 12C, something I can't read, steel, 5960 hardness. Beautiful knife, cuts, feels wonderful in the hand, and nice jimping on that one. Then we get into the last 3 knives that I bought myself on a trip to America. And I've done short videos on this. My Grayman Satu, which I still, let's see if we can do this. Get on. I've obviously been playing with it enough to be able to open it one-handed. Still maintain, you know, I'm very much an amateur. I'm hoping one day to get a Dalibor Bergam knife. But this thing, as far as I'm concerned, is the biggest tank folder knife out there. Absolutely shocked at how big this thing is. So there's that one. And then I'd always wanted a Bob Dozier in D2 steel. Again, Bob Dozier fit and finish is outstanding. It's just, you know, it's a pleasure to hold this knife, and make it a nice change from having jimping to actually have this curved edge here, so you can really lock the thumb on that nicely. Beautiful knife just to hold and fondle and play with, that one. Let's see if we can put that bad boy there. And finally, my last knife, the wonderful Todd Begg Bodega Field Grey in Toxic Green and Black. And you know, this is fantastic knife. Absolutely adore this knife. So glad I was able to get hold of one. And even if it did bring out the worst in my knife collecting gene, so much that I almost burst, never ever wanted anything as bad as I wanted this knife. So it's a great relief actually having got it. It is a dream. It flicks, just, oh, should I say, it flips like a dream, in any position. And yes, hours of fun to be had, just sat there flipping away. Big flipper fan. And that's it. So that's, yeah, that is my knife collection. And what I've decided is I'm going to adopt a 6-blade maximum philosophy. So, you know, pretty much, as you can see, I've got some whittling down to do. There's more than 6 knives here, but I know what I'm like. I love to collect things, and when I start collecting, I can get a bit over the top. So what I'm going to do, whittle this lot down to 6, my 6 keepers, and then operate a strict policy that when a new knife comes in, another knife's got to go out. So that should be fun. I've got a beautiful knife coming from the very talented British knife maker Stuart Mitchell. My Seacare, so that's going to make life even more interesting. But yeah, so 6 is going to be what I'm going to try and live with. 1 in, 1 out, and hopefully that'll stop me going mental and spending obscene amounts of cash on knives. So, to wrap up, this one here, I don't even know if this maker exists anymore. Simons in I'm not sure what the style of this knife is. I should have found out. Bowie, maybe, don't know. But you know, no name knife, I guess. But this is where it started for me when I was 15, and then had a massive gap off, and ended up with my Voodoo Hound. This is one knife that will always be in the top 6. So thank you for watching. Hope it didn't go on too long, and yeah, I look forward to seeing what your response is. You know, I think Terafanatic posed a great question, so I'm going to pose it back and say, what knife started it all for you? And I look forward to hearing about that. Take care, stay frosty, bye bye.